So this is the Base Game Jam 2024, and I kind of wanted to talk about it in a way to give a better actual summary of it. I did reaction videos to all of the entries, which you'll be able to see in a playlist. But basically, what the intention was, as far as I know, is to make Game Jam to encourage the creation of art because it's trying to disassociate the politics that are involved in the gaming industry. Now, there's a lot of totalitarian left wing politics currently in Silicon Valley, which shouldn't be all that surprising. And so it's trying to remove the totalitarian aspect of the gaming industry from things. So it's a claim that this is politically neutral. It's like the idea of hate speech being something that we need to censor according to people who have totalitarian politics versus believing in free speech, which you would think is unrestricted. So this is trying to come at things by supporting the idea of free speech. So it's a positive in that way. I wouldn't call it apolitical if it's advocating for free speech, but it kind of has been presented as an apolitical based game jam thing. But they called it a bunch of different names that I think were getting suppressed in like either censored or suppressed, and this is why they settled on the name. I think they tried calling it the Conservative Game Jam and maybe got backlash for that, or maybe they felt like that was making it too political, and so they wanted something more neutral. And then they tried calling it like the non-woke game jam because it's specifically supposed to be anti-left-wing totalitarianism. So hence non-woke game jam. And eventually this is just what the page on itch.io settled on, is based game jam. Now, as far as I know, the main people who are organizing it are a bunch of people on the Timcast Discord server. And so you can tell this is a small group of sort of independent people. I wouldn't say it's totally disconnected politically. It's specifically the political side of anti-authoritarianism, anti-totalitarianism, which we should all admit is a good thing. And this is why I wish people were kind of talking about it or promoting it. And so that's why when you go down here and it talks about things and it says like, can it be political? Yes. Do they have to be political? No. So it's because they're not trying to put restrictions on creativity. They're trying to encourage free speech. And when you try to encourage free speech, that means including all things. That means including political related speech. It's just that they don't want forced political speech. So that's kind of the distinction being made. That's kind of what's supposed to make it different from the majority of game jams, is being pro-free speech, anti-authoritarianism, and encouraging the creation of art in the gaming industry and encouraging people to learn that kind of stuff. So if we look at the entries, I did a reaction to all 14 of these entries, and I got a response to a few of them. So I got some responses from like I didn't get a response from Lower the Gates. I did get a response from Legion Rising, and I just said like, oh, I tried it. I had a little trouble figuring it out, and I appreciate what you tried to do. And he was like, "Oh, okay, you missed this stuff," and that's my back and forth. And you can view most of my written responses are on the entries. You can see if I'm being fair. You can blast me if you want to by responding to my response on their entry pages in the base game jam thing. If you think I'm not being fair, all I was trying to do was an initial reaction. So, that I'm not saying that's the best way to judge something, but that's how the majority of people react to something. Is you download it once, you have a quick response to something, and maybe you keep playing it and maybe you throw it away. So I was trying to react realistically, and you can judge if that's appropriate or if I was being too harsh or not. So I also did get some response from this guy who made Martyrs of Rome. I think it's Fever Dev, right? So we're going to talk about that, but because I had the longest back and forth with him, but I kind of want to save that for last. So we're going to come back to that. So I didn't get a response from the Rome in a Day dev, but pretty much the idea of the game is you're going to be invaded by Rome and you're building up to try and resist them, and you're pretty much guaranteed to lose no matter what. So I didn't get any kind of response from Aquila's Labyrinth. It's just kind of a platformer that's kind of a risk reward kind of platformer. So you kind of do tricky things and risky things. I think you can even sacrifice health between rounds to get your meter up for, like, I guess it's a better score. I'm not sure I totally understand this. Magister's Militum was like Civ, kind of, but way more automatic, way more simplified. If you want to check it out, you can check it out. I did get a little bit of a response from the dev, and he kind of talked about how it wasn't, it was a very simple game. So, Axios Mechs of Rome. See, I did get a response. It's just cool. Thanks for sharing. So, that's how I would typically expect a response or no response. So, didn't get a response from the architect dev guy. He doesn't know me anything. Nobody owes me a response. So, I didn't get any response from this arena fighter dev. And pretty much I didn't get response from either of the arena fighter devs. So, that's not that surprising. Midnight Masked, it was just this short story. You mostly read it, didn't get a response from the dev, that's fine. Et Tu Bloody, which was kind of the RPG Maker game. Like, I wouldn't say it doesn't take any effort to use RPG Maker, but this isn't like a coding to make games kind of a thing. This is using a very specific program that lets you, it's a very visual front end, basically. So this is, you make a game and it's not really, it doesn't involve coding typically at all. So, but he did draw his own art, so there's a little credit. Gladiatorium Strategy, I guess they're gonna make an actual game out of this. This is the chess like gladiatorial game thing. You can check it out if you want. This is the game that, as far as I can tell, was like a troll, because you can't really do almost anything with it other than make a character walk back and forth. But there you go. Blade of Aventine, I just gotta thank you for playing, which is fine. This was the tower defense game thing. Okay, now to talk about Martyrs of Rome, I did have a bit of a back and forth with the dev. Now, a lot of what he was trying to do is kind of just an absurdist story, I guess, as far as I can understand it, because that's sort of the thing that he does. And I can appreciate a lot of the kind of artistic side of things in this. And it's like Fever Dev, like Fever Dream. It's intentionally supposed to be weird, which is fine. And you can see if that appeals to you, it's different. Sure, and like you can go ahead and try it and observe it for yourself. And I'm not trying to ruin it for anybody, but that's what's good about these things being posted publicly is it's an opportunity for you to experience it yourself. And so I did have kind of a bit of a back and forth with him because he didn't like my kind of gut reaction to it. And there is something kind of inherently unfair about a gut reacting to something. And you can, he kind of criticized me for not being careful about playing it enough and not really talking to people and not reading the game entry page and stuff like that. And again, you can read our back and forth. This is on the my first video, my first reaction video. But my idea wasn't that I was trying to review things. I was just trying to give an initial reaction to stuff to maybe draw some attention to it. Now, you can say, oh, that might be unethical because I'm being careless. Or, again, you can say, you can criticize me all kinds of ways for how I was handling it, or that it's irresponsible to just kind of do a reaction the way I did. And I'm fine with people having these kinds of opinions, but I was just trying to do anything to talk about this, the base game 2024, as it was relevant as quickly as I could. I think he saw this as me trying to tear down him personally, or me trying to be destructive to his creative work, or that he's upset that one of the only videos that anyone made about his game, he feels is extremely negative. And I'll say these things again, like I said on his entry page. I talked about how I think a lot of the aesthetics and stuff are great, and I'm just not into the story side of it. And it's intentionally a weird, surrealist story, and that's fine. You can do things like that, and some people are going to like it more than others. And I think some of the, like, it's kind of made like a horror game where you're wandering around a maze and you're trying to find gems. This is what the goal is stated in the game: is you wander around a maze, you're trying to find 3 gems, and then trying to find this spear, and I assume that ends the game. I'm not trying to discourage people from checking this guy out. You can check him out. He makes weird stuff. He's made other sort of weird games, I'm fairly positive. I think he tends to use this style specifically, which has kind of an N64 PlayStation 1 style. I think we can view. So, see, so they've done other games kind of similar, and I'd say it's worth looking at them. I might have played this Rusted Heart one before, I'm not sure. It looks vaguely familiar. But you can check them out. You should be judging these things for yourself. I'm not trying to dictate a specific reaction for people to have. And, you know, these are smaller indie devs, and I don't think this is a person who's untalented. They just took it kind of hard the way I reacted to their game, and I'm not trying to be a bully. And I think they might have been taking it that way a little bit. And but at the same time, I'm not trying to be someone's friend. Like, I'm kind of neutral about it. I don't really care who this person is when I'm viewing their art. I'm just trying to look at the art thing I'm viewing independently, almost as if it's like it's in a vacuum. You know, you can read these things, you can judge for yourself if I was being too cruel or inappropriate, or if they have a legitimate grievance against me. And you can tell me how horrible of a person I am if you really think I mishandled any of this. I'm perfectly open to handling things differently in the future or whatever. But I wasn't trying to do a review. I wasn't trying to do anything thorough. I wasn't trying to go through any kind of detailed explanation, kind of like I am now. So that's why there's a lack of nuance to it. I'm not trying to sabotage these devs from doing anything. And I really always encourage people to check things out for themselves. So check him out, check his stuff out, and judge for yourself of the quality of it. Don't just take whatever my reaction might be from it initially. You know, develop your own opinion is what I always try to say.